All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone's having a well and having a dandy day. Today, we'll be discussing the streaming service we all know and love, the root of my procrastination in school, Netflix. Presented to you by myself, Justin, Derrick, Stacy, and Richard. Just a little bit of a background before we get into the meat of the presentation. Netflix is a streaming service used to watch movies and TV shows. It was founded by Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph back in '97. It's available pretty much everywhere except for mainland China, North Korea, and Syria. The leading market for Netflix remains the United States with over 65 million subscribers, followed by Brazil with 18 million subscribers, the UK, France, and Mexico. They make a lot of money, especially during COVID. Gross annual 25 billion US dollars and an operating income of 4.5 billion. Currently, 12-ish thousand employees work for Netflix and a growing number in Canada, which I'm excited about. The main office is in Los Gatos, California. For Canada, I just recently was in Toronto a couple of weeks ago and I saw their new headquarters location in downtown area. A huge step for content creation in Canada. A couple of scenes in the Queen's Gambit were actually filmed in Ontario, but that's just me being excited. So a summary. What we all discovered is how much of an influence Pestel Analysis helps companies stay ahead of their competitors. For example, Prime Video and Disney Plus. Political factors, the influence of the government, like the restrictions in China. Economic factors, exchange rate of buying content, social factors, CEO giving back to the communities, technological, thinking about the environment, friendly services, and sustainability, and legal factors, consumer and copyright laws that you have to abide by. I'm going to pass it over to Derrick to talk to you guys about the political economic pieces of our presentation.
Thank you, Justin. So there are several political factors that affect Netflix. Censorship plays a huge role in their business. And while Justin mentioned earlier that there are over 190 countries that can stream Netflix, they don't have services in China, North Korea, and Syria. Specifically in China, they would have to heavily censor their content just to be able to stream over there or provide their services there. The other two countries, North Korea and Syria, Netflix is not allowed to operate there because of U.S. sanctions. The U.S. sanctions were signed in August of 2011 that prohibits sales and services to Syria. And in 2017, an executive order allowed the U.S. to freeze assets of any company doing business in North Korea. So that's why they can't do services there. The content varies based on location. They have a wide variety of content that is available. However, certain countries or regions are locked out of specific content. This is because each country has different laws and regulations about media content. For example, in order to operate in the EU, the European Union, Netflix had to ensure that 30% of their content was European. So once they were able to accomplish that, they would still have to pay an additional 26% media tax in that. Something that's more relative to us in Manitoba, Netflix or the government will be charging anybody who has a subscription address in Manitoba at the end of the year additional 90 cents a month, which comes out to, I believe, $11 throughout the year. And that's affecting us and the company. So next slide. And so that leads me to my next point of economic factors. I mentioned before that it's operating in 190 countries. And each of those countries have different types of currencies. So because of the fluctuating exchange rate, if the company has a weaker currency compared to the US dollar, the streaming service that Netflix provides will possibly be too expensive and could be considered to be a luxury for those customers in those different countries. if Netflix charges too low of a price, they won't make any profit for their services. So that is a kind of a fine balance for them to figure out in other countries. Though Netflix is a leader in the streaming service industry, other companies have removed content from Netflix and created their own streaming services. So there's a lot of competition. Disney Plus is one of the latest ones to become a big competitor to Netflix. And some other ones that are here in Canada are probably something like Crave or Amazon Prime. I know in the States they have Hulu. So those are other competition or competitors that Netflix has to compete against. Over the past years, the monthly subscription price of Netflix has gone up. Some reasons due to inflation, but whenever the price goes up, it puts a strain on those who don't have a lot of disposable income. Netflix's challenges is to ensure that their price matches the quality of content it provides. And one way that Netflix is trying to be more valuable this year is that they are releasing one new movie every week in 2021. And if I'm sure majority of you guys have Netflix, but you'll see new content continually over the next week to week. Another economic factor that Netflix has to worry about is content piracy. So that's when there a lot of people bootleg their shows or films online, and they distribute this leaked content through the internet. And this all takes away from the company's bottom line. There is some good news for Netflix, though, because of COVID and the pandemic. A lot of people are staying home. Businesses are shut down. Theaters have been closed for quite some time. I know they opened back up just recently, but people are still fearful to go out. And so because people were fearful and stayed home, this led to an increased annual revenue and net income, and their overall profits pretty much doubled from 2019 to 2020 when the pandemic started. So those are my economic factors. And next up, Stacy will talk to you about the social cultural factors.
Thank you, Derrick. So starting with social cultural aspect, Netflix prides itself in complying to ethical business standards and morality. Among these are honesty, integrity, loyalty, fairness, concerns for others, and respect for others. So the example for this is how the company treats not only the customers and the stakeholders, but their employees. According to the polls that were conducted among employees in different big companies, such as Google, Amazon, Netflix employees are at the top of the chart. They indicated that they are the happiest with their pay and they have no interest in changing their workplace. Employees just love working in Netflix. They feel like they're compensated fairly. They enjoy comfortable work environments. They enjoy multiple paid vacations in a year, and even have such things as relaxed dress code. Netflix is not only good for employees. The company recognizes the importance of education and supporting the community. So they provide scholarships to students who are doing PhDs. And along with the scholarships, the company provides financial aid to students from low-income families. Another aspect is that CEO Reed Hastings has a compassionate nature. He donates money to charities from his personal funds, and his belief is that good deed starts from the head of an organization and moves down to the bottom. Talking about trends, a trend that has recently developed in recent years and even more prominent during the pandemic evolves around people streaming content on various devices. Lots of people shifted from using TV and cable networks to on-demand streaming. The shift in trend allows Netflix to dominate this field as they offer relatively affordable, high quality, and technologically advanced services to stream anywhere, anytime, and in various languages and on any device. So speaking about technological aspect, In order to cater for larger audience and allow people to use their mobile phones to watch content, Netflix uses special high-tech converters. They are able to reduce the size of the video without affecting the quality. It actually allows the users to save on their mobile data and enjoy streaming content in HD and even 4K on their portable devices. Another technology that was recently developed by Netflix is software by name Hermes. It can automatically translate the content into different languages. This innovation helps the company to increase its market. Probably will. It's still not launched, but it will help to increase the market reach and allow users to enjoy the content in their own languages. Also, Netflix changes its algorithms and UI pretty frequently. And recently they made a change to the rating system from a star-based system to like and dislike system. This was to complement their new suggestion algorithm. The newly developed algorithm should be able to provide better recommendations to the users based on the previously viewed content. But high-quality streaming does not always mean a good thing. In March 2020, European Commissioner requested from Netflix to reduce the streaming quality in Europe for at least a month, as this was because European governments were concerned that the internet might collapse under the strain of the unprecedented usage due to COVID pandemic and the lockdowns. On to the environmental changes and analysis.
Alrighty, so environmental factors and Netflix. So every large brand invests in the environment, and this also includes Netflix. However, since Netflix's business is mostly almost exclusively operated online, it doesn't have much of a direct and or heavy impact on the environment when compared to other companies. That's why this list is pretty short. But it still has some form of environmental impact. In 2019, Netflix used around 94,000 megawatt hours of energy. Most of that energy was from non-renewable resources, which was used for their business operations, such as their offices, the studios, and the servers that host their content. So what Netflix plans to do is to support and acquire energy from more renewable resources. One of the articles I found was talking about getting energy from the wind, using wind power. The other one, Netflix also plans to heavily reduce their carbon footprint by reducing the amount of paper that they use in their offices. So they're going with more like electronic documents instead of just regular paper. All right. Legal. All right. Legal factor plays a big role in the context of the digital entertainment industry, since the laws surrounding it are still evolving and the governments around the world are developing a strong legal framework to regulate it. A big thing that Netflix has to face is the protection of the user privacy. User privacy is one of the most important concerns when it comes to streaming services, apart from protection of user data. So make sure Netflix actually keeps your name, phone number, credit card information all encrypted, so no bad actor out there can get a hold of that. Geo-blocks and copyright infringement. Derrick already touched a lot on that, so I won't bore you with the details on that one. Video piracy is a big concern for many in the digital streaming industry, and Netflix is no exception. Piracy has been rising ever since more and more streaming services have been introduced in the market. Piracy, understandably, cuts into the profits of these services by people illegally downloading or even streaming movies from these pirated sites. It gets harder and harder every time to shut these sites down because since every pirated website that gets taken down by the DMCA, more and more seem to take its place. Video piracy, unfortunately, for the long run, probably will be a continuous losing battle for Netflix. Along with piracy comes with credentials, credential sharing, credential checking. Netflix also loses a large sum of profits because of this. The most common way this happens is people just sharing one Netflix account. Say, I have a friend who has a Netflix account and I'm just leeching off his. So he's only paying for it. I'm just viewing his account. However, there are other ways people can actually get a hold of these paid legal accounts. Password theft is one of them, where account credentials are actually hacked and stolen from a user, in which the accounts can actually be sold by pirates as well. Endless trials, which a lot of people do, is creating multiple fake accounts or using multiple credit cards so it can keep their 2-week free trial going. And the last would be token theft. So streaming apps and web browser streaming services use a token to identify the user. Hackers and pirates can actually get a copy of this from your web browser and be able to take that to another device and access Netflix's content from there. So, and I'll hand it right off to Justin.
Okay, so even a powerhouse like Netflix isn't free from market risk. The analysis helped Netflix determine the risks, address concerns, possible growth, and focus on productivity. The main Pestel component that me and my teammates discovered to have the most influence was the economic, component. The hike of the subscription prices and actually buying the content is, the base of Netflix in Canada specifically. Starting in July 1st, a couple of months ago, Canada, so a new digital tax came to play. So that meant that you'll have to see everything, have GST and HST on digital goods. If they continue to add stuff we find interesting or entertaining, then I see, no harm in the business growth. If they don't have stuff to watch, then they can't compete with Prime or Disney Plus. If they don't have the best stuff, then, more consumers will have more of an incentive to leave for another streaming service. So in conclusion, economic is the key factor with Netflix.